Alright, let's talk about Bitcoin here. So since my last video, we did end up getting a move to the downside, losing this first zone of support that I marked out. The arrow played out, and we got to move down to basically take out all the liquidity from these lows. The idea was there was a lot of confluence for support in this area, a lot of different support zones coming in around this general zone, so I just put a big box around all of it. And I thought that if we lost the low end of the box, if we did not hold support on the 786, that was kind of our last hope, that there wasn't much support below us to stop us from coming down to this low. And if you're not already following my Twitter and you want to, it is in the description. But the other day, I basically made a tweet mentioning that we saw a move down to this next area of support, and that at the time we were starting to get a little bounce from that low sweep, but it was not convincing for me yet. The way market cipher looked like, this is the 2-hour time frame, and you can see momentum taking a sharp move to the downside, voiding any potential divs. So just based on how quick we came down and the fact that we weren't seeing high time frame div potential, I really wasn't looking to reaction trade this. If I was going to take a long, I wanted to refine it, wait a little bit, see if price action gives me a good setup. We actually did end up holding that area of support, and I did enter not just one long. I took this long right here, but later on I entered a second one. This was more of an addition to the first one. I took like a 0.3% risk on this one, or like 0.33, like a 1/3 of the 1% that I took with this trade. And these two trades ended up doing pretty well. I just closed out the remaining bit of it yesterday, which I may regret. We may end up pumping up farther here, but I wanted to move some money around. But I locked in with this first trade 5% off of a 1% risk, so a 5R trade. And this one I locked in another 1.2% approximately, and I risked about 0.3%. And honestly, I was not really expecting to see this much of a move to the upside. Maybe I took profits a little too aggressively. I could have locked in a lot more profits with this one, but I'm not going to complain about 6.2% gainer just off of a couple scalp trades. And I guess that basically brings us to where we're at now. I will say that, the daily time frame does not look too bad. The weekly, though, is getting pretty close to confirming a weekly divergence here. We are going to close a weekly candle today, so if we see further bearishness today, maybe a red dot appears just before the weekly close, and we actually end up confirming this divergence. But regardless, even without confirming it, this is not a good look for Bitcoin. Very obvious divergence with momentum and money flow on the weekly time frame, as we just got an SFP of all-time highs, so there is that playing in favor of the bears. But we are trying to print a daily trigger wave here, continuing the direction to the upside, another higher low with momentum, and this is a confirmed green dot, and momentum is starting to move to the upside, so it's not looking too bad at this point, honestly. And money flow is looking relatively healthy as well, I would say. It's actually, challenging some of these previous highs. So yeah, really the daily doesn't look too bad. But let's check the lower time frames, see if they are in agreement with the daily, or if they're maybe starting to lean more towards the weekly, with things possibly turning bearish here in the near future. The 12-hour, honestly, a little sketchy. Money flow starting to curve back to the downside. Momentum looking a little weak. You're seeing the VWAP start to curve back over already, indicating that we might get a very shallow move above the zero line with momentum. You might see it top out with a very small trigger wave here. You start to see the VWAP curve over prior to printing those red dots. So, this doesn't guarantee that it's going to continue curving that way, but it is looking a little weak, especially with money flow moving to the downside as well. 8-hour, same deal, money flow coming down, momentum looking like, it's kind of struggling a little bit. And as we get to the 4-hour, we had already printed a red dot on the 4-hour, but it kind of turned around locally a little bit. We got a little bit of red dot, green dot here, and now momentum's moving back to the upside, and money flow looks pretty decent here on the 4-hour. Nice bit of curvature. So, we're seeing some flip-flopping with the money flow. It's coming out on the 12-hour, the 8-hour, and the 6-hour looks pretty bad too, but then when you go down a little bit more in time frames, it is starting to come back in with some decent curvature. So, this to me says uncertainty, but, at the very least, it looks like on the lower time frames, the bulls are trying to push things in their favor. So maybe we keep seeing moves to the upside locally to possibly just come up and test resistance. And when, things are looking pretty uncertain, you're not sure which way price is going to go next. The thing I like to do is I like to look around and find these significant levels. So then I can just simply set alerts there, and if price gets there and there's a trade set up, I can take it. And until one of my alerts go off, I don't really need to worry about what price is doing or what it's going to do. So I'm still looking at this zone of resistance. I think this is the same one from my last video. And, we do have some new confluence to it now that we put in a lower low. The golden pocket actually lines up with the bottom of it very nicely. But I do have to change this. If I want to look at the volume from this entire move to the downside, I have to now bring it over to the new lower low. When doing that, things change a little bit. So the value area high is still up in my box, but the point of control has moved down to, right around where we're at. We actually have, at this point, seemingly reclaimed the point of control. I don't think I really want to use that for confluence to my resistance zone. I mean, I think it's good enough as it is. I think this is a very strong zone of resistance. It's really the most important one. So with that being said, that's one place that I'll definitely look for short positions if there is bearish signs. And in other places, maybe just taking out this high. Maybe we don't even reach up to this resistance zone. Maybe we just take out this high and there's some kind of bearish signs. That's really all I think is important at the moment. We already took out some of the other areas that I was looking at. I was looking at taking out some of the liquidity from these sides over here. We just recently took that out. We are approaching the 0.5 fib. We are kind of in a little zone of resistance right here, but I mean, it does kind of seem like we're going to try and push up to at least this high. And in terms of support, I mean, looking at this move to the upside, there really isn't much. I'm more so looking at the mini ranges that we're forming, and honestly, I think if we start losing those bearishly, there's a pretty good chance that we see, a pretty aggressive move back to the downside, just as aggressive as we saw previously in this area. Aggressive move down, aggressive move back up, not leaving anything for support in this area. Which, I mean, isn't entirely true. I guess there is some pretty valid support down towards the bottom of this, but it really isn't super significant at this point. I more so think that if we're going to come back down to this area, like if we start losing ranges bearishly, we probably at least come back down to this low. If not, we may see arrow number 2 over here guide price to the next area of support. And that's pretty much it for, my plans and my key levels. There's not too much to go over. Aside from that, I'm just trading these local ranges. So thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, subscribing, leaving a comment. I appreciate the support on my channel, and I'll see you all in the next video.